I have a confession to make as well for those of you that were here in the last session with Tracy. I'm email platform agnostic, but I'm very much platform WordPress. So everything I do is around WordPress and I won't talk any other platform, which is probably good for this audience. All right, so who here has an email list, just by show of hands, and has hooked it up to their website? Cool. Well, I'm preaching to the converted. I've done with my talk, I can go home. All right, so we all know that getting someone to your website is hard enough in the first place, but leaving them to their own devices and expecting they're going to come back to your website, it's just not going to happen, okay? As much as we might think we've got the most engaging website in the world, people get sidetracked with all sorts of things, and they might even have the best intentions when they first see your site and say, yep, I'm coming back. They may even bookmark it, but the chances of them coming back to your site unprompted are pretty low. Okay, so it's all about the courtship. Basically, you wouldn't walk into a bar, and I'm sure I've heard this story 100 times, but you wouldn't walk into the bar, walk up to the prettiest woman and propose to her. It's just not going to happen. What you would do is you'd walk up and you'd start a conversation, you'd then get some contact details so you can continue that conversation, build a relationship, and then get to closing the deal. Okay, read that any way you want, by the way. But essentially we need to do the same with our visitors to our website. We can't expect them to buy when they first come to the website. It's just not going to happen. All right, so what is email marketing? Well, good old Wikipedia has a definition for us. Email marketing is directly marketing a commercial message to a group of people using email. In its broadest sense, every email sent to a potential or current customer could be considered email marketing. Basically, it's building a list of subscribers, keeping in touch with them, and moving them along the path from being a visitor to a customer. And that's really all it's about. All right, so getting started. By the show of hands, I'm guessing most people have already got an email provider, but I'll quickly go over this anyway. Of course, the first step is we need to choose someone who's going to send our emails on our behalf. Is there anyone here who is sending out their emails manually out of Outlook or WordPress or something like that? Okay, good. Because they're just not going to reach the inbox, guys. The reason these providers exist is because they've done the work to get into people's inboxes. They've convinced all the ISPs that the stuff that they send is worth getting to the end user. You go sending it out of Outlook or even worse out of WordPress, it's not going to reach there because that work hasn't been done to establish you as a credible sender. So when we're looking at choosing a provider, there's some basics that, you know, they all look pretty similar. You know, one coffee bean, another coffee bean, whatever. They're all pretty similar. They all do all these basics, and they all have the basic fuel that will drive you. So easy to use, mobile friendly. As I mentioned, the deliverability, they've done the work. Your emails are going to get into the inbox you expect it to. Most of them will provide templates that you can work with so you can make your emails look pretty. Some of them still use a lot of text-based emails, so be a little bit careful. You know, coming out of the internet marketing space particularly, a lot of them encourage just text-based emails. This is 2015, guys, that's sort of a bit gone now. Make your emails look a bit different so that people will want to open them. Okay, if they look like an internet marketer's emails, they're just going to go straight to the trash. Most of them will have integrations, particularly WordPress. Obviously, you want it to be integrated so that you can get those subscribers onto your list. So most of them will cover off those basics on price. I've put price down the bottom for a reason. It shouldn't be the thing you determine your choice on. Okay, it will be a factor, obviously. You don't want something that's going to cost you $200 a month when you're starting out, but it's not the first thing you look at. All right, so we've got all those basics covered. Now it's time to look a little bit closer and see what each one can do for us. You want one that will do autoresponders, okay? You don't want to have to be typing up every mail individually. You want something that is going to send your emails in a specific sequence on a specific trigger. So people can subscribe to your list, they get a sequence. People make a particular purchase, they get another sequence. People join a particular group, which I'll talk about in segmentation a bit later, they get a particular sequence. Things that you can set up once and then just have run over and over. as I said, to drive that, you're going to want something that can segment your list. Who here has multiple lists that they put different people on depending on what they've bought? Yeah, go on, don't be shy. Most of us have done it. I certainly did it in the early days. Not the most effective strategy of managing your email list. As those of you who have done it probably realise, when you want to send an email to everyone, you've got to send it to 3 or 4 or 5 lists, and you've got people on multiples of those lists, and they get multiple emails. Not the best look. Okay? So segmentation, what that will do for you is allow you to have one big list, and then you can tag people on that list according to different actions they've taken with you. So that when you want to send something to everyone, you've got one list to send to. When you want to send something to people who've just done one thing with you, you can easily identify them still. Split testing. Not all of the email providers will allow you to do this, but some of the better ones will give you the option of split testing. Some of them will allow different things to be split tested as well, so you just need to look at what capabilities they give. But basically what this will allow you to do is take a portion of your list and send 2 different emails to sections of that, and it will automatically calculate which one got the better open rate and then send that version to everyone else on your list. So really what it's trying to do is optimize the number of people that open your emails and actually see your messages. Time delivery is another big one. Pardon me. There's been a lot of studies done about what the optimal time to send out your email is. Okay, and look, to be honest, it's going to vary from list to list and your particular customer base. But for any given customer base, there is a time that they're most likely to open their email. And so if you're sending your email at midnight, and by the time they get it, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, and their inbox is filled up, they might be in the process of just deleting everything they can because they can't be bothered dealing with it. Whereas if you can get in their inbox just after they've done that cull, and they've only got that 1 or 2 emails to deal with, you've got a higher chance of opening. So what this does is a number of the providers will allow you to set, I want to deliver it at 8:40 local time. So you hit send, and instead of sending to everyone at once, it queues it up based on where your recipient is and then sends it out to them so it lands in their inbox at the time you want them to get it. Very powerful. A lot of them will also allow geolocation, which just basically means you can see where your subscribers are. You can take different actions based on where your subscribers are, things like that. Most of them will include analytics, but again, you need to look at what level of analytics and what it allows you to see, what it allows you to integrate, and so you can work out how your list is performing and how you should then, from there, change things so that you get better results. And the last one you want to look for is an API. Now, I'm not expecting many of you in this room will sit down and code your own plugin to interact with your email provider, but if the email provider provides a good API, then chances are that someone else has already done that for you, and there'll be good plugins that you can use to interact with your list. All right, so the main players in the market, MailChimp, which is the one that we have used, as was said, for many, many years. The reason that we chose MailChimp, we were actually an early adopter. So when we jumped on MailChimp, it was really the new alternative to Aweber, which happened to be the big one at the time. It was sort of the Virgin of the market at that stage, Virgin as in the company Virgin, with the attitude of coming in and simplifying things and doing things differently in the way you really want to do it. So we took a chance on them and jumped on. They had a very quirky little interface, which we loved, and they had the base features at that stage, and over the years, their features have grown and grown and grown, and now it's, feature-wise, at least equal with, if not ahead of, a lot of them anyway. Pardon me. As I said, Aweber was the premier one in the market for a long time. However, I think it's a little bit clunkier with the interface. A lot of people probably like it. Just show of hands, who uses Aweber? Anyone? Wow, no one. Surprising. Generally, if you go into the internet marketing circles, there's a lot of people that use that one as well. Then there's Campaign Monitor and Constant Contact. I haven't used them personally. I don't know a heck of a lot about them, but they are quite popular. And then at the bigger end of town, you've got things like Ontraport and Infusionsoft. A lot more expensive, supposedly a lot more featured, but in a lot of cases, a lot harder to work with, and a lot of those features really are not necessary when you're starting out, and even as you grow, with add-ons, MailChimp is quite adequate to meet those needs as well. So hence why we've gone with MailChimp. All right, so getting started, creating your first list. I'll skip over this since most people have pretty much done it, but I'll just show you in terms of MailChimp how that works. So there's a number of things you need to do when you create your list. Obviously you need to give it a name, and this is, in MailChimp, this is a name that people will see in the emails that go out, so don't be too clever with it. You need to set up the email address that it's coming from and the from person, and remind people how they got on the list. And this one is very important. The reason this is important is because if people don't hear from you for a while and then suddenly get an email, they might go, who is this joker and why is he sending me email? And it's very easy for them to hit the spam button. And once that starts happening a few times, your deliverability will go down and down and down. Okay, so with every email that you send out, you want to have this message in there reminding them why they're getting this email. You know, you came to my site, you asked me to send you emails. At least then if they decide they don't want it, they'll just click the unsubscribe rather than clicking the spam button. There's also a number of list settings that you have to set. So in the first instance, you want to set the list defaults. So this is things like notifications that get sent to you, whether that's every time someone subscribes, whether it's daily or those sort of things. And also whether you want to send a welcome message or not. So depending on how you've got your list set up and whether you have autoresponders or whether you just want to use the welcome message, will determine for a particular list whether you send a welcome message or suppress that and just send the sequence of emails instead. You also want to set up your list fields. Now by default there'll be name and email in there. Okay? You can set up any fields you want. You can capture all sorts of information and store it in your email provider. But be careful when you create your opt-in forms that you're not asking for too much information up front. People aren't going to part with their life story when they first see you to subscribe to your list. Okay? So you want to start with just a name, an email, or maybe even just an email in the first instance. And as you walk them through the path of interacting with you, you can collect more and more information and store it in your system as you go. There is a whole bunch of required content in there. So this is things like your physical address, your website, all that sort of stuff. And this is done to meet all the anti-spam laws that different countries have. Thankfully, MailChimp takes care of all that for you, just tells you what information you need to have to be compliant. Most of the other defaults you can just leave as they are and move on. Okay, so the next step in the process is creating your sign-up forms. Okay, and again, you set all this up in MailChimp in the first instance. So you can set the sign-up form, you can set the confirmation thank you page, the thank you page for signing up, the confirmation email, the confirmation thank you page, and the welcome email if you're going to use it. Okay? Pardon me. So there's a process that gets walked through, obviously, when someone signs up. They don't just put their email in and then they're on your list and that's it. With the double opt-in, which again is for the anti-spam laws in most cases, they get sent a confirmation email that says, yep, that's good, we've got your email, but before we can start sending you stuff, you need to confirm that you actually meant to give us your email. And this is, again, one of the things they do to make sure that your deliverability rates stay very high. There is a whole bunch of other forms in there as well. There's some unsubscribed stuff and whatnot that you can set if you want. These are the minimum that will get you up and running. In terms of the editor for setting up these fields, you can see up on the top there, you can select which form you're going to work with. So in this case, it's got the sign-up form. There's a couple of options you can set. Down here, you can see this is just the designer for setting up those forms. So it's just drag and drop the fields you want from the left onto the form. Each of the areas you can change backgrounds, you can change colours, change fonts, etc. So you can really start to make this look like your own. You see that's a very bare list with nothing on it. You'll see further through where I've actually set one up and it starts to look like it's branded from your site. All right, so the next thing you want to do is create your email templates. As I said before, the days of text emails are gone. Okay, when people open your email, you want something that visually captures them and draws them into reading that email. If there's just a whole bunch of text there, chances are they're not going to be very interested and they're going to move on. So thankfully, MailChimp comes to our rescue here as well. They have a whole bunch of templates that you can choose from as a starting point. Single column, double column, all sorts of layouts. So you just pick whichever layout you want to start with. And the really good news here is that all of MailChimp's templates are responsive out of the box. So even if you pick one of these 3-column ones over on the right there, when it goes to mobile, it's automatically going to readjust and put things where they should go to make them look really nice on a mobile. Okay, so you don't need to worry about, oh, what if I design this really nice template and people open it on a mobile and the email's like this? It's not. It'll certainly sort itself out. So once you've selected your template, you then get into the editor, and this is where you can really start making it your own. So you'll see here I've branded it with our logo / header at the top. We've got our fonts for our headings and our content. We've even got a signature block that we've put in. You can drag, again, different types of content blocks from the right and just drop them onto where you want them on the template and set them up as a nice layout so that when you go to send an email, instead of having to create each one from scratch and style it, you can just pick up your template and say, that's the template I want to use, here's the content I want in it, this is when I want to send it, done. Okay, so it makes the whole process nice and easy. The other thing, make sure you test your template for mobile, okay? Again, MailChimp comes to our rescue here. It's got a built-in preview, which gives you, on the left you normally see your normal desktop version, but on the right it gives you this little picture that looks like a mobile and then shows you exactly what your email is going to look like when someone views it on a mobile, okay? So you can instantly see if you've got any problems that you've managed to break the styling in a way that's not going to display properly. But when you see something like that, you can be confident that even people reading your emails on a mobile are going to get a good user experience. The other way is obviously you can also send yourself a test message and then view it on the sort of devices that you're expecting to see it on and just make sure it does come up right. All right, the fun part, collecting subscribers. So there's a number of ways to integrate your MailChimp list or any other list with your site. Now, MailChimp provides a number of options out of the box for us. First of all, we can just link to the hosted form that they have set up. So when we set our account up, one of those first things we looked at was styling the sign up page. If we just use the link, it's going to send people to a page on the internet that provides that page effectively. So people can enter their details straight on the MailChimp site. Not the greatest user experience from your site. So the next thing we can do is take the embed code they give us and put that on our site. Pardon me. So instead of people clicking on a button disappearing to a MailChimp site, they put their details straight in on your site and then that goes off and hooks them up to your list. MailChimp is also very good in that they have a built-in pop-up script. Okay, so everyone's seen pop-ups before. There's plugins all around that do that sort of thing for you. MailChimp has done the hard work for you and just gives you a script code that you can put into your site that will automatically pop up a sign-up box at certain times that you define as well. So you don't even have to go to the effort of getting a separate plugin to do that, which is great. MailChimp do also have their own plugin, which makes it easy. If you drop that on your site, you can then just select your list and select a few other parameters and it'll automatically populate the sign-up form for you. I don't normally find that's necessary, but it is there if you want it. Okay, so some other options for integrating it with your site. There are a number of other plugins for WordPress that will allow you to integrate directly with your MailChimp list. So some of those options, if you're a Genesis user, eNews Extended is an awesome plugin. There's Magic Action Box. Gravity Forms is probably one of the best. And the reason I say that, a lot of these other ones will allow you to automatically link to your MailChimp account and select your list, and that's as far as they go. Gravity Forms will go one step further. What it'll allow you to do is not only select which list you want to put people onto, but which of your groups you want to put people onto. So you can really start that segmentation process right from the sign up, which is really, really good. Then you've got your pop-up plugins, opt-in monster, pop-up domination, etc. And there's third-party products like lead pages. So there's no hassle with getting your subscribers in. All right, so how do we get them to subscribe? Well, we've got to give them a reason, something that they want to come for. Why would they want to keep coming back to us? Okay. Of course, there's the old ethical bribe, some of which work well. Checklists and cheat sheets seem to be doing really well at the moment, as do mini-series. Some of the old stalwarts, not so well anymore. So asking people just to sign up to your newsletter, probably not going to do the trick so much anymore. And even the good old PDF report doesn't pull like it used to. So if you're finding that your opt-in rate is not as high as you would like, try playing with the ethical bribe you're talking about. Once you've got them on your list, this is the biggie. Let's communicate with them. So let's bust a few myths in the first instance here. Everyone's heard the money's in the list, right? Yep. I'm sorry to say it's not. The money is in the relationship with your list. Okay, so you can have the biggest list in the world, and if you're not communicating with them regularly, when you send an offer out via email, you're going to hear crickets. Okay, so make sure you're keeping in touch with them in between, so that when you do send the offer, they're already primed and ready to go. Second myth, you need a massive list to make money online. Also not true. You need an engaged list to make money online. Okay, we've heard many stories of people that got lists of as little as 1,000 that generate 50, 60,000 off a launch, and other people have got lists of 100,000 that struggle to make 20,000 off a launch. So again, it's all about the engagement and the quality of your relationship with your list. All right, so what to communicate to keep them engaged? Well, the idea is to mix it up. Make sure you're sending them valuable content on a regular basis, something that encourages them to open and look forward to your next email. Give them some behind the scenes or personal information so that they start creating that connection with you. Some controversial stuff or just topical pieces that will then start to create that engagement, something that they'll share. And obviously you want to send the offers from time to time so that you get the income as well. When? Well, frequency will vary. We've got the whole thing of over-communicating. You might turn some people off and they'll go away. Under-communicate, and like I said, when you send an offer, they're just not going to relate to it like they were. So the guiding principle really is send when you've got something of value to send, and really just test and see what works for your particular market and your particular list. All right, how do we communicate with them? Well, there's a number of ways within MailChimp you can do that. You can set up an RSS to email. So basically when you publish stuff to your blog, MailChimp will automatically pick it up on a schedule you set and send it out as an email to your list. And this is just for those people that may not visit your blog regularly to remind them that there's more content for them to come and consume. That's that. You can send campaigns, which is MailChimp's terminology for an email that goes out to everyone at the time you send it, or if you set up time delivery at that specific time. So it's one-off emails to your list. It goes to everyone. Then there's also autoresponders. So these are the series of emails that are triggered by a particular event, whether that event is the sign-up, whether it is they've joined a particular group or they've responded to a particular offer that you've put out. But basically, yeah, it's triggered by something they do, or it could even be triggered by them not having opened an email for a certain amount of time. And it's very useful for initial engagement after they've made a purchase from you, promoting upsells, etc., etc. All right, big thing, test, measure, monitor. All right, you need to know what's working for you, what's not working for you, and how to improve. And again, MailChimp has a number of reports in here out of the box that you can see what's going on with your list. So here's one from our dashboard, and you can see the open rates going up and down, but I can then select any particular email and see which was that email that I sent. And by looking at the ones that get the better response and looking for the common threads across what I've done in those emails, I can send more emails like that and hopefully raise my open rates and my click-through rates over time. Okay, so this is starting to give me some insight into what I need to do to improve. Okay, so how do we test? Well, as I said, MailChimp has an A/B split test in it. There's only a few things that will allow you to test, and that's headline. That's what I said before. So what's it allow you to test? MailChimp allows you to test headline, the from name, and one other field I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's sort of limited in what it can do as a built-in split test, but it's a good start. There are a whole bunch of other things obviously you want to test, but you'll have to do these manually. So headings within the copy, text only versus HTML. You know, there may be a market where text only works better. It'd be an odd one, but it might happen. Whether embedded videos get better open rates and click-through rates for you or not. And also you can look at styling, change the way that your email appears, and you might get more people engaged with reading it. Okay, and again, this is just playing around with your market and seeing what they relate to. Also, the links that you put in there, you know, whether you use just anchor text or full links or whatnot. And again, it's all about your market. There is no one right way. You're going to have to test this for your market. All right, so we've got all the basics in place now. We've got our list set up, we've got our opt-ins on our site, we've got people coming to our list, we're communicating with our list. So we've got the base in place. Now let's talk about what we can do to really take that to the next level. This is where we start getting into segmentation, okay? So what we're trying to do here is improve the engagement with our list by communicating to people only on the topics that we know they're interested in. So how do we know that they're interested in these topics? Well, what we do is we send an email to our whole list with a free offer and basically see who responds to it. If they respond to the free offer, then they're interested. If they don't, then we just won't send them any more emails about that topic at all, okay? So we send that email, which has a link to another opt-in, which puts them onto our specific segment. So now we have within our list a portion of that list which is interested in that topic. Okay. Once we've done that, we create a segment from that group and we send a series of targeted email just to those people that signed up to that particular offer. We're not wasting our time talking to our whole list, trying to convince everyone to buy what our product is. We're talking to the people only that have shown an interest in it. All right, and for bonus points, we can set up funnels that lead from one product to the next product to the next product. So if people buy one product, we put them on a list that has a series that tries to upsell them to the next product, and so on and so on. So how do we set up the segmentation? Well, the first thing is within MailChimp, we create groups. So you can see here within my list, I've created groups for launch webinars, course participants, etc. Within those different groups, I can create subcategories. So I could have a group for products that people have bought, and then I could have within that group the list of products I've got. From there, I create the segments that drive off those groups. So here you can see the segments I've created based on who is in each of those groups. And then I can create email sequences specifically for each of those groups. So MailChimp is great. It has a whole bunch of different automation types that you can set up off a segment. Okay, so you just come in here and say, I want to drive a welcome message or a welcome series or a one-time event. You can send messages when they join the group, when they leave the group. So if someone unsubscribes from a particular list, you can send them a message saying, hey, sorry to see you go. Can you give me some feedback as to why you've left? Cleaning your list. Now, this is something I don't think any of us are particularly good at. None of us want to let go of those subscribers that we've worked hard to get. But the point is, if you let go of the people who are not opening your emails, you will get better overall. Again, if they're not opening your emails, they're not going to become a customer, okay? So, oops, wrong way. What we want to do is create a segment based on people who haven't opened any of our emails in a certain period of time, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is. Send those people another email to try and re-engage them. Okay, so send them a no-brainer offer or whatever it is, just something to get them re-engaging with you. And if they don't, then either delete them in total or move them off to another list so that you're not sending emails to people you know aren't going to take any action. Okay, you can concentrate your effort on the people who are. Okay, so what's holding you back from really taking your email marketing to the next level? Excuses we hear are, I don't have the money. Well, that's a no-brainer because there's a MailChimp free account. So, you can get started for nothing. If your list is below 2,000, obviously after that you start to go up. But even if you want the autoresponder functionality, you can start for about $10 a month. Most of the others that I talked about in that simple level start about the $10, $20 a month as well. So it's really not a lot of cost involved. Pardon me. Another one I hear quite often is that you don't know how to set it up. Well, we've covered most of the basics in this slide deck, so that's pretty easy. And beyond that, MailChimp has some amazing tutorials in its help section and its knowledge base. So there's, it makes it really, really easy to set everything up. Don't know how to design your own opt-in forms? Not a problem. MailChimp has some great templates to start as to build your own as well. And as we saw briefly there, it's all drag and drop in terms of blocks and layout structure, and then it's just click on each block and change your colours, etc. So it's really easy. Basically, there's no excuse. You just need to get in and do it. All right, questions? I think there's one up the back to start. Oh, one other thing I just want to point out before we get into questions. Talked a lot about MailChimp, but I'm not actually associated with MailChimp. I'm just a user, okay? So.
Thanks, Ryan. Great presentation. I need to set this up for a client. So I want to know, can I import a list from say, Outlook? And if so, how is the email client going to handle that because of the double opt-in?
Yep, you can definitely import a list. MailChimp has the option to import from CSV and a couple of other formats. So basically, as long as you can get that list into some sort of format it will accept, you can upload it. When you upload it, you can choose whether it sends out your welcome emails and all that sort of stuff. And certainly on import, you can choose whether it has the double opt-in or just single. Okay. When you're importing, generally, you're okay to use single, as long as it is a list that you have generated and it's not a list you've bought, you're okay to tick the single opt-in. Yeah.
What advice would you give for people who are reading emails on Outlook, which basically doesn't show any images? You talk about the benefits of good design, but if it's seeing anything, what's the point?
Part of me would say get a better email client, but yeah, there's not a lot about you can do about that. If they've got images turned off and they're not going to see images, then just put your alt tags on your images so they know what they're missing.
Great talk, thanks very much. Quick question. What do you think about the read more having the teaser of 3 lines and then read more and then it clicks back to the website?
Yeah, the age-old do I tease them to get them back to my site or do I give them a lot of information question. I personally tend to like give them enough information in the email that it makes it worth their reading. If you can then somehow tie that back to your site so that it's not like they have to go back to your site to get everything, but there's a reason to go back to your site for something else or something more, then that's probably the best balance of the two.
Okay, we have another question over here. You guys have got me running today.
Yeah. We'll see if we can work our way across the room for you.
Hi, thank you, great talk. I've got a newsletter that I send out, and it's been out now for 3 months, and the first month 65% of people opened it. It's gone down to 42.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, what is sort of the average that people tend to open? And is this a problem, you know, when the first one goes out, is that the norm, that more people will open it and down the track, or?
Yeah, look, the average depends on the industry you're in. Different sort of industries tend to open more or less. So there's no one right answer to that. 60 was pretty good by most standards. 40, depending on the industry, is still pretty good. However, what I'd be looking at is you've gone from 60 to 40. So something's happening that people aren't engaged with the emails that you've sent. They've opened one and gone, oh, maybe that wasn't what I expected, so I won't bother opening the next one. So what I'd be trying to do is turn that around and bring the trend up. So you need to look at what are you putting in those emails. Is it easy for them to scan? Is it, you know, does it grab their attention? What can you do to re-engage those people so that more people open and then look forward to the next email?
Anyone else? Yeah.
Right, next question's there and then the next one's over there.
Since I have the mic, I've got two.
Just one.
Okay. Testing for different email clients, that's usually a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
I'll say the other one. Can you share just a story about something that was successful versus wasn't successful and then was successful?
Cool. Yeah, I probably should come prepared with some stories about that, shouldn't I? As I showed on the graph there, some of the best success we've had is where we have hooked into current trends. So most of you are probably aware back on April 21, Google made a big change to the algorithm, said, you know, we're going to rank mobile-friendly sites higher on mobile search. So we hooked onto that whole, you know, buzz that was going there and ran a webinar around that. So we found that that got one of our higher open rates because people were already thinking about that sort of thing. Where we've had some of our lower rates is where we haven't communicated for quite a while and then we sent out a cold offer. You know, sort of didn't get a lot of open, certainly not a lot of click-through, so yeah.
Hi. It was interesting you made the point about using MailChimp versus, say, the kind of CMS platform, email providers. I was just interested to know, because I've got a client that actually wants to stop using MailChimp and take everything over to the Adobe Catalyst platform and do all the emails and the website and everything out of that. So I'm just interested in, you mentioned that they aren't great, their success rate isn't as great through the email client. I was wondering why.
Yeah, I don't know Adobe one specifically, but the reason that is in general is guys like MailChimp, Aweber, you know, all those big ones, their business depends on getting emails through to the inbox, right? So they spend a lot of time talking to all of the individual ISPs around the world saying, look, we have these rules in place that mean that we're not going to be sending spam, okay? They're very strict on, if you get caught spamming through one of these, you'll be off their platform quicker than anything. As an individual, you don't have time to talk to every ISP around the world and say, well, look, I'm really a good guy, please let my emails through. And that's why you will tend to get lower deliverability rate if you send it from yourself or a generic like WordPress platform or something like that, rather than if you send it through a recognised mail provider.
So it's not a technical issue, it's not the issue as much, it's not some difference in the code or anything.
It's a credibility issue. Yeah, it's a credibility issue. You know, some of the ISPs are getting very, very serious about, we don't want to be seen to be part of the spam problem, so if we're not sure, we're going to block it. So, yeah, that's where you're going to come foul.
Everyone, please put your hands together for Martin. Fantastic.